I'm at Hurst Priory, built in the early to mid 18th century. This country house is in the parish of Belton on the Isle of Axholme. The Priory is a really charming, historic, award-winning wedding and events venue located in some beautiful grounds. My name is Paul Holloway, and today I will be presenting a session on making videos for social media. Right, we're looking at making videos for social media. I mean, you can make a very basic video just by talking to camera on your phone and telling people about something that's happening in your business and then top on tailing it. But what I'm going to do today is go into a little bit more detail if you're thinking about making something a little bit more adventurous. We're going to look at pre-production, that's making a plan. What's the story you're trying to tell? Then the production of actually shooting your video, and post-production if you need to edit your footage. So the pre-production phase, what's the story, what's your audience, and how are you going to tell it? Working out exactly how you're going to get your message across is important before you start capturing some footage. You need to make sure you're using the right kit as well. You can, of course, film footage on a mobile phone. Most people do nowadays, and load that straight into the internet. But you need to make sure people know what you're talking about. So it might be worth planning to write a cue to set up the story you're going to tell. You also need to consider what footage you need to capture. Are you going to capture some A-roll, your primary source, but maybe some B-roll as well? What's your A-roll? Well, this is what I'm doing now. But if you're interviewing me, I'm the main story. I'm telling you what's happening. But the B-roll is if you cut away, you can add some interest by showing something else, which might demonstrate what I'm talking about. Or, as we're here in Hurst Priory today, I could show you around some of the beautiful setting of where we are. And by adding in that extra content on the B-roll, well, you're still hearing what I'm saying, but it makes the video a little bit more interesting for everybody to view. It also helps you cover up any edits you need to make to your primary source of video. Another technique to consider using is vox pops. What's a vox pop? Well, you've probably seen and heard them every day of your life if you watch the news. Whether on television or radio, it's a common practice to get 4 or 5 members of the public and ask them what they think about a certain burning issue of the day. You could use vox pops. Say you were running a breakfast meeting for local business leaders. You could get 3 or 4 people from different companies to say what they think of the event, put them all together, and then all of a sudden you have a little bit more character and some more voices in your film. The art of vox pops is keeping them short and simple and getting lots of people's voices. Sound quality is 50% of your video, so making sure that you've got that right and everybody can be heard exactly what they're saying is really important. Most important rule about making a video is that something should be happening all the time. So remember the rule KISS. Keep it short and stimulating. Something new needs to be happening every 10-15 seconds to keep your audience engaged. Another really important thing to consider before you start filming is what aspect ratio and length you can use on the social media platform you're planning to post your film. So let's have a look at a few. Let's start with Instagram. Now, Instagram, of course, people film a lot of content on their phone. They film with their phone in an upright position. The position on Instagram is between 1 to 1, that's a square, or 4 along and 5 up. So you need to make sure if you're filming content that is primarily going to be used on Instagram, that you're shooting as such. Also, maximum length on Instagram is 60 seconds, and it's the same on Google Shorts. Twitter, however, is completely different. On Twitter, you could shoot video landscape, and there is a maximum time of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. TikTok, like Instagram, is set up from a square to a 9:16 dimension for your film, and the maximum time you can have on TikTok is 10 minutes. But I've got to be honest with you, if you're making a 10-minute TikTok, you're using the wrong platform. TikTok's all about fast and keeping things moving through incredibly quickly. The average TikTok should only be 15 to 20 seconds. And finally, there's Facebook. Facebook, you can post landscape, square, whatever you like, and you can actually load onto it video up to 2 hours in length. Being clear about what platform you're going to post things on is important, because if you are shooting landscape and then uploading your video onto Instagram, you will lose the side of the screen. So once you've made your plan and you know what you want to shoot, it's important that you follow that. Make sure you're getting both your A-roll and your B-roll. Here's a tip for when you're filming B-roll. Say you wanted to get something from the grounds of Hurst Priory and I was filming that on my phone. If you hold your camera as such and keep your elbows into your stomach so that you're keeping the camera on your phone nice and steady, and then keep the video rolling. If you're getting B-roll, you need to make sure you're getting between 10 and 15 seconds. So just watch it counting through on your phone. It's also really important to make sure that you're framing the area that you want to film, lighting it properly so that you can be seen, and making sure the sound quality is good. Now, within your mobile phone, there's pretty good mics, but once you get a little bit further away, the sound quality will diminish. So maybe you could look at plugging in some mics to your mobile phone or the device that you're shooting your video on. Try to reduce noise and interruptions while you're on set. And another really good tip is when you're getting your footage, make sure you watch and listen back while you're there. Because afterwards, if you're looking back and you haven't viewed the footage, it might be too late to go back and get some of that footage again. Let's look at post-production. Editing software can make your videos look really sophisticated. How much you need to do will depend on the style of video that you're looking at. If you were filming something, just a piece to camera saying, get yourself down to Hurst Priory this weekend, we've got a fantastic wedding fair on, stop. That does a job, and you can top and tail that on your mobile phone. But if you want to be a bit more ambitious and you've got some really good quality B-roll and some interesting A-roll footage, then it'd be a good idea to take your video onto the next stage by using some editing software. You'll find iMovie, if you're using an Apple product, is already on your phone or on your iPad. While you're building up your video, keep your transitions simple. Lots of zigzagging and fancy transitions can distract people from the video. It's also really important, if you're using different clips, to make sure that the sound levels are similar as you move between each. You could also consider adding some branding for your business in the top right-hand corner of your video, and maybe adding some titles as well. You could always use music as well to give it a little bit more beat, to give it a little bit more of tempo. But of course, be careful when posting things online that you're using things that are royalty-free or you have the right to use. Before you post your video online, have a little bit of a sense check. How does it reflect on your brand? Get a second opinion. Ask somebody else what they think. Another really important thing is your video audible all the way through. Can we hear what's happening? If you've shot something and you've looked back and it doesn't quite work, then maybe you're better not doing it or trying something slightly different. If you're posting something on social media platforms, it's also important to write a little bit of copy introducing your post. How much you need to go into will depend on the platform. On Facebook, you might want to go into a couple of lines explaining what it is, or on Instagram, it might be, wow, look at this. It could be as simple as that. But think about how you're going to draw your audience in and write some copy that's appropriate for your video. And finally, make sure that you're tagging in third parties and using hashtags to try and make sure as many people as possible are seeing and sharing your video. So be creative, try some different things, and try and get your brand out there. If you're successful, you never know, it might go viral and you might get an awful lot of interest. That's the end of this session on making videos for social media. I hope you found it useful.